right, folks, we are in the holiday thick of things. It's Throwback Tuesday. Let's go back. Let's find a movie that I haven't talked about, which is what I kind of gave this wonderful guy over there. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I'm never going to get it right. I switched them. I switched our sides anyway, which is long story. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, my friend, my brother. It's been awesome. We talked about some other stuff. Some of the links will be in the description, folks. Make sure you connect. And by the time you're seeing this, we've already done a live show together. We've been hanging out, doing some stuff. So make sure you do that. You're over there supporting him. So thanks for doing this, my friend. Christmas is here. It kind of starts earlier and earlier every year, but I have to be honest, I'm just as guilty. I went over to Max. I don't know if you've noticed on some of these servers and streaming services, but it was only like a couple days after Halloween. And Elf was already trending #1. Christmas Story is like 5. Christmas Vacation was like 7. There's like 4 or 5 Christmas movies already on their top list. I'm like, whoa.
It's just like the stores. You have already, you saw Christmas decorations literally in July.
My wife and I were discussing like, it's like the chicken and the egg here. Is it because we do it, that's why they do it, or because they do it, I don't know. It's like a chicken and egg, or I don't know. And reality is just as guilty.
If no one bought any Christmas decorations in October, they wouldn't sell them. So
that's true. That's true. So I threw out this concept, and you said, "Well, you got to find something we haven't talked about." And you threw out 2 I hadn't really gotten into, but one I have to set aside. But this one I don't mind talking about. Jingle All the Way, brother. You went deep for me on Jingle All the Way. What on earth is the love for Jingle All the Way? Give me your pitch. Give me the pitch, because this is in that category of I watch it every year. Sometimes I sit there and I go, I don't know why I'm watching this again. It's like, it's okay, but it doesn't bring me like great happiness and joy. It just entertains me for a minute and we're good. So
it's in my household. It is one of those movies we play every time before Christmas, on Christmas Eve, on Thanksgiving. It just gets us in the holiday spirit. It chuckles me a little bit because I grew up rushing to the mall to buy something. I was a kid during that time. I remember my parents. I remember other parents doing that. So it kind of gives me a little like, oh yeah, that was kind of fun and crazy all at the same time. And then you have Arnold, and I like Arnold in a comedic role more than an action hero sometimes. So like I like him in Kindergarten Cop. I like him in Twins. I like him in this movie, Jingle All the Way. It's fun to see him come out of his little action box and be a fun dad and eventually be a action hero. But he's just kind of a fumbling dad struggling.
You mentioned the toy hunt, scavenger hunt stuff. Do you remember that era? Like, is there a toy that you wanted as a kid?
Yes, when I was a kid, it was mostly Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But I do remember when one of my nephews, when they freaked out about little Tickle Me Elmo.
I can say Tickle Me Elmo, Furbies, because this is way past Cabbage Patch Dolls and stuff. This is 90s, so it's way past that. Yeah,
literally. And there's a scene in this movie where you see the trampling of over one toy of all these parents in a mall at a KB Toys or something.
Yeah,
that literally happened.
Oh, trust me, this started whenever I was a kid. This started when I was a teenager, and it was really Cabbage Patch because that lasted for Cabbage Patch Dolls lasted. They were talk about brilliant marketing. I actually just watched a Cabbage Patch cartoon with my granddaughter because we watch vintage cartoons when they stay.
Oh, okay.
And you go on YouTube and they have these 5 hours with commercials, whatever, and just whatever they are. And during the commercial break for the Cabbage Patch show was Cabbage Patch Dolls and multiple variations of the commercials, and my granddaughter was just like oh, it works well. So that was the first trampoline era of things. But you're right about Tickle Me Elmo.
I think just right after Star Wars figures, right, the toy industry took off, and you would always have all these characters from either a movie or a TV show, and people would want them the next year or that year or whatever. And it's funny because Arnold's that parent. His mom, this wife's telling him, did you get the toy? And he's like, oh yeah, I got the toy. But really he didn't. He has to get it last minute. And yeah, it's just fun to watch him fight through the crowds and a mailman to get a toy.
So yeah, Arnold.
Turbo Man.
Yeah, he's looking for a Turbo Man. So these kind of sequences I've been really, really paying a lot more attention to in these movies where they do these parade and little time capsules of what life is like, and I really, really enjoyed all that. Yeah, there's Turbo Man, and there's
Turbo Man was kind of like a when they showed him in the commercial on the movie, he was kind of mixed between like a Power Ranger show.
Yep.
That's what it kind of reminded me of, like a Power Ranger.
Very much a Power Ranger show. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's little Anakin Skywalker. We have to get Anakin his Turbo Man.
Yeah, yeah.
And this was there's the jetpack.
That was such a cool scene. I think any kid would like to see his dad be a superhero like that, either in a costume or not. I think that was just fun. Yeah.
So, and you can see the way that they, I mean, again, I get it. I get the nostalgia of this and hitting you in the feel, especially if you were in that era, you're in that age when you were a kid. It's like, oh yeah, this was me growing up. Like, look at those facial expressions. I mean, my grandson still makes these expressions for sure.
All kids do, right? They get excited.
I'll say this. Let me a little gender moment from Pops, having 5 children, now 5 grandchildren. The girls wouldn't make those facial expressions. They will do it with their hands. So if you don't have the girls yet, the girls would approach it from, but Pop, we have to have, you don't understand. We have to, it would be very much like this. Whereas the boys is all inside. It's in their brain. Like, oh, I got to have this. They're already thinking about how to fly it and blow it up and whatever. They're not. So that's the difference. Just so you know.
And this type of movie also reminds me of the time when you would get the toy catalog from like Toys R Us, and you would just, right before Christmas, you would circle all the toys that you wish you could get. And then you would hand that to your parents, and they were either going to get them or send them off to Santa.
Gosh, he's so young. It's painful. Where's Troy Pacelli and the others really that are my age? And we did this Star Wars Day, and we talked about the Sears catalog that had the Star Wars toys in it, and that was us doing. So yes, it's funny generationally. I kind of lost concept of the Toys R Us catalogs, but you're right. FAO Schwartz and Toys R Us were the 2 goats for sure when it came to toys in the 90s there. So Arnold is quickly being called out. Did you buy the toy? Well, no, because he worked late. He got lost in traffic. He was late for the events. He's doing this. He's a workaholic.
I hate my neighbor.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's all set up for these kinds of things. And there's the neighbor. Phil Hartman is comedic gold in this movie.
Yeah. Great Phil Hartman. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He was awesome
scooping
in this
on his
movie.
wife. Yeah.
He was such a creep, but he was so good.
Look at that face. Could you imagine someone Arnold's size giving you that look? Like, that's just not. Oof,
and but he doesn't care. The neighbor does not care. He's just like, I'm not. I'm gonna try to get into you, and I'm gonna try to mess up your life by stealing your wife.
Yeah, this is the scene I think we want to talk about, because this is.
Yeah. I mean, this happened.
So this type of stuff would happen, indeed.
I mean, it happens today too, but I don't think to this level.
I've been in situations like a Black Friday scene. It's different now, and now they change their hours and stuff like that. It's not quite like this, but it could still happen in certain places.
Yeah. And there's also a scene where there's a radio guy, and he's telling him that I have one, and you have to win a contest. People were doing that for these type of toys too.
I was guilty for that, for the Tickle Me Elmo. I think that we ended up with a Tickle Me Elmo, but then the radio kept trying to give them away. And I was like, well, we can get one for so-and-so. Like, if we can win the contest or whatever, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, there was actually a woman, I think in Sacramento, California. She was trying to win a Nintendo Wii. And I think it was like one of the last times when people were really excited to do something like that. And she had to win by drinking a ton of water, and not going to the bathroom. So don't wee for a wee or something like that. And she actually ended up getting really sick, and she passed away.
I was going to say, you can make yourself really, really, really sick by doing that. It's like drinking too much milk in X amount of time. It's hard to do that, but you can overdose on different types of fluids. So.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it's just
So
Yeah.
Sinbad plays the mailman who's trying to get the one for his son as well, and they're at odds with each other. They kind of have this faux team up that they'll do for each other, those kinds of things, and it's just antics. It's just antics are ensuing left and right.
Yeah, but they end up on good terms in some way. So
the motorcycle cop
this guy I felt
gag.
bad for.
He kind of keeps coming up with it. It's like Phil Hartman is the gag. The police is a gag. The real reindeer is like kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he breaks into his house to steal his Turbo Man. Yeah.
Ends up starting a fire. Here he's running from the reindeer.
Yeah. Yeah. Classic. Christmas fun is really what it is.
So when we get to
the
Jim Belushi as the Santas is just fantastic.
The Santa gang. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'll sell you a Turbo Man. It's like in Spanish.
They got their picture. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all in Spanish. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Oh my gosh.
It's falling apart. Like it's yeah. Like I said, just doing anything that would have Arnold make that face would be.
Yeah, he was just so fun in this movie. He was so classic fun. It was kind of like Kindergarten Cop, where he was, this big brute of a guy. You can tell he could be pretty serious, but he was having fun also. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Jingle All the Way. So I don't know, folks. Do you watch Jingle All the Way? Are you watching it as much as JT? Is it an annual thing? Is it multiple times a year? You admitted it's at least twice for you, right? You at least watch it.
We watch it we try to watch it at least once a year. I mean, it's up there with Jingle All the Way is up there with, in my family, is up there with Christmas Vacation. We also tend to watch. We're not really too big on the Christmas Story, but like Muppets Christmas Carol, that's a Christmas movie that we enjoy watching all the time. It's a Wonderful Life. And then some of the other wintery classics, out there. But yeah, Jingle All the Way is on our list to always watch. Mm-hmm. Make sure we watch.
All right. Yeah. He's made his case. You guys can tell us.
I did.
It's a once. Like I said, it might come around. I'd be like, oh, we already watched that one. I'll be like, we already watched.
No, you gotta watch it.
We do it once. We always have fun, and I admit it's just fun. It really, really is a lot of fun, and I totally get why people love it, especially when you're in that Nexus era where it's a big deal when you were young, that kind of thing. Super cool. Well, bro, thank you so much for hanging out with me talking about it. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah. So, folks, listen. First off, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you. Let's hear about the things that you want us to talk about. Make sure you're connected to that guy over there. I had to think about it. Listen, we just love hanging out with other folks, talking about nerdy stuff, and it's just great to do that. So I appreciate your time hanging out with us. Be blessed, folks. Till next time, I am Pops.
All right.